we're going to roll back to 1492.
Or forward from Tomoe.
Forward from Tomoe?
Tomoe was about 1150.
Oh, okay. Then we're coming forward to 1492. You're probably aware of some exciting things that were going on in the world in 1492.
It's a poem and everything.
There was something else very unfortunate that was happening that same year. In the south of Spain, there had been a kingdom, or a number of kingdoms, for about the past 800 years. Al-Andalus, which was a Muslim kingdom. And when I say it was Muslim, it was actually kind of unique in Europe for being a place where Muslims, Christians, and Jews all lived together in tolerance and harmony and cooperation.
That was fairly rare during that time frame.
Is incredibly rare. At one point, they almost controlled all of that peninsula, but they had been pushed back gradually over time. And in 1492, it was the end. This era of tolerance and education and culture came crashing down with the Reconquista, when the king and queen of Spain decided we've had enough of this. And they go down and destroy the last of the Muslim kingdoms in Iberia.
Enough of your unity.
Enough of your unity, enough of your education. And this actually sparks, or helps to spark the Spanish Inquisition, right? Bad things are going on. Most of the people living there are forced to convert to Christianity. Those that refuse, about 100,000 people are executed. About 20,000 manage to escape as refugees. Among these refugees is a 7-year-old girl named Aisha, who would later in her life come to be known as Sayyida al Hurra, Hakimat Titwan, sorry. I don't have a lot of Arabic friends, so the pronunciation is probably awful, and I apologize for that.
It sounded amazing.
But the title means Sovereign Lady Queen of Tetuan. So this girl, she was the daughter of a tribal chief. And again, we're trying to go fast, and I apologize. But at the age of 7, they're forced out of their home and move into what is now Morocco, right, in northern Africa. And her father goes up and founds the city of Chefchaouen, which, if you haven't seen it, look up pictures online. It is a gorgeous, just unbelievably gorgeous city. And they move there and they start taking in all of these refugees and trying to forge a life for themselves. Now, luckily, some of those that escaped were great scholars. Al-Andalus was known for its scholarship and its education. And so young Aisha is given a first-rate education. She's taught geometry and algebra and Spanish and Portuguese and learns all of these things. And then when she's in her late teens to mid-20s, she enters into an arranged marriage.
Sorry. Real quick, did you know that the word algebra came from Arabic?
Yes.
Al-Jabr?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, please.
So, in her mid-teens to her late teens to mid-20s, she gets married to Abu Hassan al-Mandari. Now, Abu Hassan al-Mandari was famous for going to the Sultan of Fez and saying, hey, I have an idea. There are these ruins down at the mouth of this river of a city called Tetuan that the Portuguese destroyed about 100 years ago. I want your support to go and rebuild this city and start taking in all of these refugees that are coming out of Spain. Right? The Sultan backs him up on this. He goes, starts rebuilding the city, and this is when he and Aisha get married. And she becomes the Sayyida of Tetuan, the Hakimat of Tetuan. Now, there is some question as to which Abu Hassan al-Mandari she married, whether it was the one that was... there was him and possibly his son or nephew. If it was him, he was about 30 years older than her.
Happens.
Which happened a lot at the time.
Yeah.
If it was his son or nephew, then they were probably closer to the same age. But whatever the case, even though it was an arranged marriage, they reportedly had just an incredible amount of respect for each other. They were equal partners in rebuilding this city and taking in all of these refugees. But after just a few years, her husband passes away, and Sayyida becomes the independent ruler of the city of Tetuan. Now, a side note, there was a very, very good reason that the Portuguese destroyed the city of Tetuan. Because it was a home of pirates. It was,
of course,
known throughout the Mediterranean as this corsair haven, right? So her and her husband rebuild this city, and they start building, buying, borrowing ships, and sending out corsairs to take revenge on the Spanish. And the city starts becoming incredibly wealthy because Sayyida is an expert negotiator. So they go and take ships and their crews. She speaks Spanish and Portuguese. She's the one. Everybody comes back to the city and they've got all their loot. Right? She takes all of the prisoners and ransoms them back. So she's just bringing in she's bringing in tons of money. And all of the Spanish and Portuguese hate her and fear her, especially when her husband passes away and she becomes even more independent because she's taking all of this money. He was just
holding her back.
Apparently. She's taking all of this money and feeding it back into the city, making it stronger and more able to resist attacks from the Spanish and Portuguese. They lay out the streets like a maze and set up ambush points. They put forts everywhere. They build more and more ships. And she forms a partnership with the Ottoman pirate, Orus Reis, better known as Barbarossa.
Oh.
Have you heard of Barbarossa?
A little bit.
Barbarossa was an Ottoman corsair, and he had spent his whole life fighting against, actually, like, crusaders. Like, he had a special grudge to settle with the Knights Hospitaliers, because they murdered his brother. And so he was out for revenge his whole life. Barbarossa actually was not even close to his real name. But during the Reconquista, he put aside his piracy and went to help smuggle refugees out of Spain and into Morocco. And because of his kindness in helping all these people started calling him Baba Orus, or Father Orus. But to European ears, Baba Orus sounds like Barbarossa, which means Redbeard. And so they started calling him that. Anyway, so Sayyida forms a partnership with Barbarossa that he's going to take the east of the Mediterranean and she's going to take the west. And they proceed to just shut down shipping all throughout. And she becomes incredibly wealthy. At one point, she stages this enormous raid on, she discovers that there are these shipyards that are being run in Gibraltar using Turkish slaves. Some of these slaves escape, and they give her all of this information, and she plans this enormous raid where they take all of the prisoners and capture the guards and ransom them and burn the shipyards. And yeah, she was just absolutely incredible. Okay, a little bit more. When she's in
You're
her
real
50s,
bad at keeping it short.
I know. I'm real bad
Real
at keeping
bad.
it short. When she's in her 50s, so she's been governing independently for like 30 years at this point. The Sultan of Fez, who is now trying to be, anyway, he kind of didn't do a great job, he's trying to be king of Morocco. The Sultan of Fez comes to her and proposes marriage. And she accepts on one condition. She's not going to Fez. If he wants to marry her, he'll have to come to Tetuan. And he does.
What?
The Sultan leaves Fez for the first time in recorded history. The Sultan leaves Fez and goes to Tetuan to marry her. The Sultan had never gotten married outside of the capital ever in history or ever since, to the best of my knowledge. But he went to Tetuan for Sayyida al Hurra because she was just that incredible. Now, unfortunately, only a couple years after that wedding, her son-in-law, it was, okay, not important, but one of her relatives jumps in and ends up deposing her.
Oh.
She moves back to the town that her father founded, Chefchaouen, and lives there for another 20 years, just in a peaceful and wealthy retirement. She dies in her 70s or 80s.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, lives a very long life, dies surrounded by friends and family.
But a lovely end of the story.
Yeah. But absolutely unstoppable, this woman. Everyone was, the Spanish and Portuguese were terrified of her and despised her. But she was just so brilliant that nobody could do anything about her. She was just too well established. She was too many steps ahead
She was a
of them.
planner, a thinker.
Yeah.
Excellent.